YouTube may terminate your access if it determines that the provisions of service to you are no longer commercially viable.
Okay.
This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is. Oh, oh.
Terminations by YouTube for service changes. YouTube may terminate your access or your Google account's access to all or part of the service if YouTube believes, in its sole discretion, that provision of the service to you is no longer commercially viable. So what does this mean for you, for me, and for any standard users? Well, with wording so vague it's hard to tell. This could mean a lot of things. It could be for accounts that are churning out meaningless content just trying to game the algorithm. It could be for anyone who regularly uses YouTube Advanced. It could be for anyone who uses an ad blocker while browsing YouTube. It could be for people who just never engage with or click on advertisements. It could be for accounts who do not monetize their content, either through their own choice or because they don't meet the monetization requirements. It could be for dead or irregular accounts. It could be for accounts that just don't meet engagement standards. This can potentially put a lot of people's accounts at risk. It's clear that it's not just your YouTube account, it's your entire Google account potentially at risk. This could extend to Google Play, Google Music, your Gmail, and your Google Drive information. The worst part is, until at least one person's account is deleted through this, we have no idea what exactly they're trying to crack down on, so we have no idea how to stay safe except by walking on eggshells. So what can you do? Well, I'd suggest backing up all your information that you need to stay safe. Start transferring any relevant email services you need to keep, such as game logins, Netflix logins, that sort of thing. Get that all transferred to somewhere else if you think you're at risk. Make sure to download all of your Google Drive information. Something that YouTubers have been learning over time is that diversification is important. It's important for the casual user as well. Try not to lean on Google for all the information you need. While I don't think this is necessarily cause for panic, I do think it's cause for being more cautious around this company as a whole. Spread the word on this. It doesn't have to be through this video. Just tell your friends to diversify the information they need or keep accessible to themselves. Start writing down your contacts in Meet Space. Save your files to your computers or to other services. Share the word one way or another. If this message can save even one person's information, I'll be satisfied.
Let's talk about the dark side of YouTube. Why do a lot of YouTubers actually hate YouTube?
It's really easy to get mad at YouTube at this point, right? Look at all this stuff that's happening on the platform.
YouTube is on a massive decline.
The community is just more unhappy with YouTube than ever.
YouTube is very broken.
YouTube is just fundamentally fucking broken.
YouTube is being fucking shitty.
The system is flawed.
YouTube's new terms of service. I have spent a little bit of time reading them, but there really is only one provision that struck me like a hurricane? No, that's rocked me like a hurricane. I don't know what it is. Terminations by YouTube for service changes. YouTube may terminate your access or your Google account's access to all or part of the service if YouTube believes in its sole discretion that provision of the service to you is no longer commercially viable.
What in the name of God's green earth does that mean?
To say that the drafting of that provision is unclear would be an understatement. And the problem with ambiguity is that it lends to accusations of deliberate ambiguity. Draft a term so unclear and ambiguous that it can be interpreted any way the service provider wants to interpret it. And while people are in fact currently making this accusation, they have been making these types of accusations for a long time, I'm just reading, rereading, and rereading this thing to try to understand what it actually says. YouTube may terminate your access or your Google account's access to all or part of the service. In order to properly understand what Google or YouTube is talking about here, we need to know what the definition of service is. Introduction. Thank you for using the YouTube platform and the products, services, and features we make available to you as part of the platform. Collectively, the service. That is the definition of the service, and I have no idea what it means, includes, or excludes. The service allows you to discover, watch, and share videos and other content, provides a forum for people to connect, inform, and inspire others across the globe, and acts as a distribution platform for original content creators and advertisers, large and small. So the bottom line is the defined term service means pretty much anything and everything that YouTube and or Google provides. You will recall that it was over a decade ago that Google purchased YouTube for $1.6 billion at the time. So at that time, YouTube was amalgamated into the Google services under the umbrella corporation Alphabet, which basically means that what was prior to separate and distinct companies and services, that being YouTube versus Google, are now one and the same. YouTube is inextricably linked to Google services because it is now a service that Google provides. So now let's go back to this magically ambiguous clause to the effect that YouTube can terminate your access to the services if it deems the provision of services to you to no longer be commercially viable. YouTube may terminate your access or Google account's access to all or part of the service if YouTube believes, in its sole discretion, that the provision of the service is no longer commercially viable. It says YouTube, but who is actually the service provider? And for that, we need to go back up to the top of the contract in order to see who is the actual service provider. Your service provider. The entity providing the service is Google LLC, a company operating under the laws of Delaware, located at 1600 Amphitheater Parkway, Mountain View, California 94043. Referred to as YouTube, but not Google throughout the agreement, which in theory could create in the minds of most people a dichotomy or a separation of power between Google and YouTube,
which doesn't actually exist in reality.
So imagine, ever since Google bought YouTube, they are now part of the same corporation, and what were two separate and distinct services and accounts are now merged together. The service provider is in fact not YouTube, although it's called YouTube. It is in fact Google, with all of the services that Google itself used to provide separately, but now provide as one sort of lump, overarching monopoly of a company. So now, after meticulously dissecting this term of the terms of service, the updated terms of service, we now understand that when they are referring to YouTube, it is in fact Google who is the actual service provider. And when they talk about the services, they're no longer talking about YouTube as a standalone entity. They are talking about all of the services that Google provides. And they may, at their sole discretion, terminate your access to all of those services if they determine that providing those services to you is no longer commercially viable.
What on earth does commercially viable mean?
Who does this provision apply to? Does it mean that if your channel is not making enough money for Google, they can shut down your access to the services because it's not commercially viable for them to provide those services? In which case, does it give Google the absolute power to shut down any unmonetized channel at any time? Because by definition, those channels are not making money for YouTube and therefore can be deemed to be non-commercially viable? As drafted, it would not exclude that possibility. So anybody who is not monetizing their YouTube channel can have all of their Google services shut down because Google says, it's costing us too much money to provide this service to you for free, so we're just going to shut you down. When I first read this provision, I said to myself, holy cows, this doesn't just give Google the right to shut down someone's YouTube channel. This gives Google the right to shut down someone's access to all of the services provided by Google, including Gmail, as of the acquisition some 10 plus years ago. Imagine what that means specifically for content creators who had Gmail accounts before the acquisition by Google of YouTube. As of December 10th, 2019, when these new terms come into effect, Google basically can shut down your Gmail account if they no longer like your YouTube account because the two have been pooled together in one service. But then my confirmations became reality when Markiplier just put out a video saying that he did a live stream and dozens, hundreds, if not thousands of his subscribers had their Google services suspended because of alleged spamming during his live stream.
I don't normally make videos like this, but YouTube has a huge problem right now. People's accounts are being suspended without reason, without provocation, and their appeals to get it back are being denied without explanation. But this is screenshots of emails of appeals getting rejected, appeal rejected. German, appeal rejected. Appeal rejected. Appeal rejected. Suspension, appeal rejected. Rejected, rejected, rejected. This is just the information I've been able to get from people. My mods, heroes. They've been collecting all this data, but rejected, 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 rejected. And it's not just people's YouTube accounts. And that's bad enough because people are losing their videos that they've made. They're losing all their history and their watching. They're losing their memberships that they have paid money for. People who have been a member of my channel for over a year are losing their accounts. And it's not just the YouTube account. It's the entire Google account. Their entire Google account is disabled. Google account disabled. Google account disabled. Google account disabled. It's so unbelievably frustrating. And I hope that this is getting fixed, but I gave them time to get back to me. This was 2 days ago.
We're cynical. One could think that Google, which owns Gmail and now owns YouTube, has basically expanded its monopoly and the sanctions it can impose in virtue of that monopoly. As a result of its monopoly, Google can now shut down your access to your Gmail, which has existed for over a decade as a result of things you might do on YouTube. The reality of this worst case scenario confirmed by what Markiplier just experienced on his live stream. And 2 days later, some of the people have not had access to their Gmail accounts reinstated yet.
To all the Nazi sympathizers, white supremacists, flat earthers, and Holocaust deniers, your days on YouTube are numbered. If you've never heard of the infamous American neo-Nazi group Atomwaffen Division, chances are you never will. The only mention of them now on YouTube is within news stories about them. How about Holocaust deniers? Search for Holocaust fake, and the first thing you see is a banner with facts about the genocide, followed by news reports from established, credible outlets about Holocaust deniers. The same goes for deniers of the Sandy Hook school shooting. There's now a link to Encyclopedia Britannica, followed by news coverage calling out deniers of the massacre, with this announcement in their official blog. Quote, "Today we're taking another step in our hate speech policy by specifically prohibiting videos alleging that a group is superior in order to justify discrimination, segregation, or exclusion based on qualities like age, gender, race, caste, religion, sexual orientation, or veteran status." Previously, YouTube only reduced their view count but still left the videos up. Today, they are mostly gone.
Yay!
Yay!
Yeah.
Gabrielle Antolovich is the president of the Billy DeFrank LGBTQ Community Center in San Jose and says YouTube had emboldened hate speech for years.
When you continue to allow hate speech out there, more people will do it. You know, if I'm a hater and I see it on YouTube, that gives me permission to hate more.
YouTube is also taking aim at so-called borderline content, videos that spread mistruths like the earth is flat. The company is limiting recommendations to these videos and again is promoting authoritative content like news reports and documentaries about them.
This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is.